from the oldest city in the USA, St. Augustine tonight, with our guest, Lambka, Aria Mckenna, Moliere Dimanche, musical guest, Mariachi Primera Costa. With your host, Jorge Rivera. Show number 3. This is the show where everything works. Everything's good. And so I thank you so much to come out. I know the weather is not the best. It's cold, it's rainy. A lot of states are having really some bad weather. I want to start by thanking the Lincolnville Museum and Cultural Center. This is where we're at. I want to thank Flowers by Shirley. Look at those. I want to thank Ancient City Brewery, for those who like beer. Those are the people here. And I'd like to thank the St. John's Cultural Council that has been backing our bands through this whole season. And we have another new person to thank, Vecto Vision. And we'll know a little bit more about them later on. So, wow, what a week, what a week. The doomsday clock actually stayed at 100 seconds till midnight. And probably that is because Ukraine is still not invaded. The COVID is still not sure what's going on. There's all these things happening on the planet that are on standby. So to me, it made sense that doomsday clock stayed on standby. So we'll see. It's not, I'm in no rush to get to midnight, in other words. But I was telling a friend, if I'm in a train station and the clock says there's 100 seconds before the train arrives at the platform, I'd get moving. With my luggage. Something big in the news. I thought this was the cutest story I've seen. A little baby, 8 weeks old, a little girl, says, "I love you." She talks, and you can actually see this. The parents keep saying to her, "I love you, I love you," and she suddenly says in a little baby, "I love you." And then they say, "I love you," and she says it again, "I love you." It's your hair just stands up. You know, either it's the cutest baby or they're going to do another Omen movie. So I thought that was really, really sweet. Something else, Russia. If you ever looked at a map of Russia, as you go east, it gets colder. Siberia is that way. And then when you come to the end of Russia, there's an island that's even colder. Well, on that island, the people who live there, I guess, are there because they love the weather. But there was a blizzard that lasted 18 hours, and a little girl, 7-year-old, by the name of Vika, was lost. And you know how the parents if you've ever been in a blizzard, you are not going to see anything. It has to be closer than these lights. If these lights were that powerful, they'd have to be almost here for you to see it. So lots of people thought that she was dead. And after the blizzard passed, they found her under a house hugging a stray dog. Her and the dog mated by warming each other up. Could you imagine those parents? So here was this abandoned building she couldn't get in, of course, so she went under it and found a stray dog. He came to her, he needed love. He said, "I love this." And so they were there for 18 hours. So that alone is amazing. Pennsylvania. A truck with 100 monkeys crashes. A truck with 100 monkeys crashes, and 3 monkeys are missing. I don't know what else to say. There is no punchline to that sentence. So, monkeys like warm weather, so I guess if you see a monkey in the neighborhood, you can always call Pennsylvania and say that one. But I thought that was the strangest sentence. Truck crashes in Pennsylvania with 100 monkeys, 3 are missing. And I'm waiting for the punchline in that statement. What else? Let me get a little closer to look at my notes because the lights are blinding me. And I also have here something about the 1%. Oh, this was so funny. You know, they're always talking about the 1%ers. So, if you're in Virginia, West Virginia, and you make $350,000, you're the 1%er. If you live in Connecticut, you have to make $900,000 to be a 1%er. In Florida, you make $675,000, you're a 1%er. So if you're in West Virginia and you move to Connecticut, they take you to a ghetto because you only got $300,000 in the, what? No. You're not even a 2%er in Connecticut because I think it's $525,000 to be a 2%er or a 5%er, I'm sorry. So something else in the news is, all these things we're seeing on climate, it's almost like every day there's something about climate. I find it very interesting. The volcano, they're still trying to reach those poor people there, and I hope them the best. But that is the news, and I just hope the world just gets better. I really do. The doomsday clock, I thought was funny that it stayed at 100 seconds. But let's hope for a better world, more love, more things happening, because I'm ready. And mariachi. We have mariachis with us. And this is Mariachi Primera Costa. They're coming their way up on stage. And we discovered them, or I discovered them, and I thought they were wonderful. And we'll talk a little more about them later, but they're coming up here to give you some wonderful mariachi music. With you, Primera Costa Mariachi. Mariachi Primera Costa. Like I tell my friends, I'll bring the mariachis, you buy the tequila. Aria, viva Mexico! Thank you, gentlemen, thank you. We'll be right back after these messages.
Keep it on the low, secrets only gold. Ain't nobody gotta know, keep it on the low. This ain't no TV show. Ain't nobody gotta know.
That's just how it goes now. Loner on this road now. Sorrow with no hope found. Hard to let you know now. Harder just to show how days go by with no count. Don't get too close now. I'm alone now.
We're back with Lisa Lambka. I met Lisa through a friend, Yvette Monell, I guess. She's around here somewhere. And, oh yeah, give her a hand. She loves it, she loves it. And I went into her boutique. She has a boutique called Re-Chic Boutique, or a Re-Chic Unique Boutique. Mm-hmm. And what she has in there is amazing, And look at all the jewelry she has. And
it's all for sale.
Yeah, all for sale. And what she does is she designs jewelry. She takes old jewelry and gives it new life. So where are you originally from, Lisa?
Originally from Swampscott, Massachusetts.
That's right. But you came as a little girl to Florida.
Yes, I did.
And so you grew up in what part of Florida?
The Miami Beach area, and then we kept moving further north. I went to school at University of South Florida, so
okay.
I've been all over Florida, I guess you could say.
All right. But headhunters were looking for you. What I found very interesting is that you were very big in the whole .com and that whole world of computers and software, and that's how you made you made a name for yourself. And at the same time, you were collecting.
Yes, always.
When did you start this whole collecting hats and jewelry?
Well, I've been wearing a hat every day for about 32 years. And I just decided I liked hats. And so I have over 600 in my collection. And they go as far back as the 1920s to the 1990s. I have a few men's hats, but mostly ladies. And I just like hats. And I've been wearing them every day. So. And it's been a great marketing tool because people remember me because of my hats. So my bosses used to like that too, because that way I could hopefully close the deal because I was a little different than the other people coming to them. So.
You had a certain sort of elegance. Yes.
Well, yes.
Yes. So now, and the jewelry thing. When did you start this whole?
Well, I've been designing jewelry actually since I was about 14, but. I don't make it myself. I design it, and I have a jeweler that makes it for me. And the pieces that I have with me and that I have on are all antique sterling silver pieces. And like the earrings I am wearing, they are salt shakers from the 1920s, and now they are earrings. People don't use these things anymore, and they're beautiful. Nobody else will ever make these things again, so I make them into wearable art. This ring here is a 1930s Chinese junk salt shaker. This ring here is a 1930s lipstick and mirror holder that has a piece of cornelian stone on the top that keeps it shut and locked. The pieces that I have here, this is a 1920s salt shaker that's now a necklace, and the pepper shaker is now a bracelet. And this is an old mirror compact holder. It's sterling silver, it has a mirror on the back, and it's all etched in the front. And this part here is for the lipstick. And we made it into a necklace, because women don't carry these in their purses anymore, but they're still beautiful, and you can wear it either way. With
now
the
that's
etching.
bling.
That's
You're going to be a rapper.
That's
you want
right.
one of those.
And then this is a 1930s handmade sterling silver handbag. I had nothing to do with making this, but obviously, but it's a beautiful piece and you'll never find it again. So, and these hats, this one is from the 1920s, and this is a black velvet hat, velveteen. And then this one is from the 1940s. And this is kind of like a Audrey Hepburn style hat. And I think I had something fall down, did I?
Yeah. Pass that on.
Oh,
yeah, bring
okay,
it on. Go ahead.
This was a part of a bracelet. My jeweler had gotten it in, and he said, Lisa, what should I do with it? I just have a bunch of broken pieces. So I made one of these squares into a ring, which I sold already, and then these are earrings, and then the other one I made into a pendant. So just because you have something that's broken doesn't mean we can't repurpose it into something else. So that's kind of my shtick.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And now, you were saying to me that your older sister was the one who started addicting you to fashion magazines.
yes, she did. My oldest sister is 14 years older than I am, so she's in her, I'm 63, so she'll be 77 this year.
Okay.
And so she did, and I've been doing it since I was 2. I have pictures of myself with bracelets up and down my arms, just like now. So I've been doing it for over 60 years, so I guess I enjoy it. It's kind of my hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And I love playing dress up, and that's what I encourage in my store, that people come in and play dress up.
Now, her boutique is across from the School of the Deaf and Blind. There's a big sign there that says Re-Chic Boutique. Her boutique is, to me, it looked more like an Egyptian museum. There was so much, silver is basically her forte, but a lot of things that had Asian flavors, stuff from the 20s, outfits. Your oldest outfit is from the late 1800s, I believe.
Actually about 1900.
1900?
Yeah, because when you get too old, they kind of deteriorate, so you have to be careful. I have a dress in the store that was actually from the 1920s that my seamstress had to make a new bodice for because the original one literally fell apart. It just crumbled in your hand, the silk. So, but the bottom is still the original.
Right.
So it's quite stunning.
And I thank you for the cuffs you gave me.
The
Look at
cufflinks,
these.
yes.
The tie pin. It looks like this. Now I need to find a woman and elope tonight because I'm too well dressed, But we were having that discussion of because you bring people in your store and you help redefine them, their fashion or something they want. People go to galas, people go to parties that have a 1920s theme. That's very popular, the Gatsby thing.
Yes, it is.
And so you help people pick, and it's not expensive at all. That was the other shocking thing. Everything was so affordable. I was shocked. But it is a wonderful store. Now, you and me were talking about, I grew up with people wore suits. And I remember when I was a boy, when I got on a plane, and there were no jets, there were still planes. The jets were starting to come. But I greased my hair all back. I wore a suit. You looked like you were going to a wedding. All the women were just dressed to the nines. Now people go in their pajamas and sandals in an airplane.
Yes.
I miss that time of elegance. I love suits. I love good shoes. I like, I like to look good when I go out. But I go to weddings where someone feels he's so dressed because he has a new T-shirt on.
Yes.
And to me, that's well, maybe it's offensive and maybe it's not their fault because they didn't grow up in that time. But we grew up watching Hepburn and Frank Sinatra and all these wonderful. People always so well dressed, so etiquette.
That is true.
And you were saying the same thing, that you like elegance, whether you're looking into men's suits. I always find that the suits of quality are not advertised. You have to go looking. You're looking for Brioni, you're looking for Cuccicelli, you're looking for Segna, you're looking for Kittoni. It's not going to be an ad in the television. You have to go search, and they're not cheap, but they will last you a lifetime. So, wow, so you were doing this in Fort Lauderdale.
West Palm Beach.
West Palm Beach, before you continued it here. So when you retired from that corporate world, you absorbed yourself into the hobby. Your hobby now...
Well, I have a thing in between. My late husband and I started a construction company in between my corporate world and this corporation. And we had it for 6.5 years, and we doubled every year for 6.5 years. And unfortunately, he came down with stage 4 cancer, so I had to close down the company and take care of all that. And it took us about 3 years to close down the company because we had so much business out there at the time. And you know, laying off people is always hard. So, and we had about 26, 28 employees at the time. But after that, that's when I started the Re-Chic Unique Boutique, and this is because I could do this by myself. I didn't need my late husband to help me, and
Or
I
a
could
team
do
of
this
people.
right.
Mhm.
And this is easy for me. This is fun. I play dress up every day. I go into my store. It's like my closet. So I just enjoy it. It's fun. I want people to come in and have a good time. I serve wine. I serve beer. I serve bottled water. I'll even open up a bottle of champagne if you bring in a bunch of people or you're celebrating an anniversary or whatever. I just want people to have fun again. I mean, fashion, you know, when you buy it online, it's not fun anymore. I mean, you can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't feel it, you can't try it on. In my store, I encourage people to try on as much as they want. I mean, where can you go and try on 600 hats, you know? So I want that. I want people to come in and have a good time. I'm starting to expand my clothing as well in the store. We are getting ready to build a huge clothing rack in the store so that I will be able to sell more clothing, more vintage clothing, and very high-end designer clothing.
Yes.
So I just want people to come in and have fun. It's what it's all about.
Right, right.
And what I sell separates you from somebody else because the person next to you is not going to be wearing it. I have girlfriends who have gone to weddings and come back and tell me, well, gee, you know, I bought this dress at so-and-so, and there were 6 other people at the wedding in the same dress. I was so embarrassed. I said, well, if you came to me, that wouldn't have happened. I actually have a guarantee that if you go to an affair and you're wearing the exact same outfit as someone else, I'll actually double your money back. And I've been doing it for 10 years, almost 11 years of the business, and I've never had to do that. So I know that what I have is one of a kind, or you're not going to find it anywhere else.
Now, how long have you been in St. Augustine?
It'll be, well, it's about a year and a half. The store will be open a year and a half next month.
Right.
And but like I said, I had a shop down in West Palm for 9.5 years.
Well,
So-
we've run out of time, but I do want to
Oh, I'm
say
sorry.
your place is really a cool place, very elegant, and you just have to visit it. And I know you'll leave with something because there's just so much cool stuff there. And I thank you for my little gift.
Oh, well, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me. This is wonderful.
And definitely I'll have you again another time, but let's give Lisa Lambka a hand and the Re-Chic Unique Boutique.
Thank you.
We'll be back after these messages.
That's just how it goes now. Loner on this road now. Sorrow with no hope found. Hard to let you know now. Harder just to show how days go by with no Kim. Don't get too close now. I'm alone now. Skip to the chat and I'd rather get to the action. In the world that we live in and get a reaction. I gotta listen so I never missing the chances. Sometimes I don't hear when I talk. Keep that mouth closed. Never need that feedback out shows. Cause we all like gossip, I know. Keep it all on the low. Not been a prophet to show. Long as it's calling, I'm stocking my pockets alone. While all of them calling get dropped at the tone. Cause I know they won't understand. Coping through motions, you won't even offer a hand. So part of the you was just part of the plan. And I keep the truth.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with one of my favorite people, Aria Mckenna. And Aria is into the environment. And we're going to talk more about that in a second. Are all cameras on? Everything good? Okay. So let's start. Where are you originally from?
Oh, I am originally from Miami, Florida. At least that's where I was born. But I didn't really spend much time growing up there. But I do like to go back to that because, of course, Miami is basically sinking.
Yes.
And so I think it's very apropos that ground zero for sea level rise is my birth town.
Right. So this is very interesting. When I was researching you, other than pre-interview, I go into the CIA files and look your name up. And so you as a young person, your passion was theater, film, television. I saw all the film credits you're in. I saw you also, you studied under with Lynn Redgrave, which was a wonderful actress. Is she still alive? Do you know if she's still alive?
I don't believe she is,
yeah.
but I don't know
Yeah,
for
she's
sure.
great.
But I
Also,
doubt
you
it.
worked on a project about a Russian teacher, George
George Stanoff.
Shannon, and he comes from. He was
love
related, working with Chekhov when he was younger.
He was. He worked with Michael Chekhov to develop the Chekhov technique. They were partners in the United States to spread that technique, and it was kind of branched off from Stanislavski.
Right. So
But he was amazing. He
Yes.
just had so much energy
the
about
so-called
him.
method actor. I remember Hoffman talking about, he was doing a movie with Laurence Olivier, and Hoffman, to prepare for the part, actually did not sleep for 2 nights and wandered the streets of New York, eating very little. And so when he came, he looked horrific. And Olivier said to him, but my God, are you okay? Are you okay? He said, well, I was just preparing for the part because I'm supposed to look all tired and beat up. And Olivier, coming from another school, said, couldn't you act tired and beat up? You know? So I'll never forget that. But yes, the Stanislavski and the method acting thing. So now as the years go by and you're doing theater and you're doing all these different things and that whole genre of theater and acting and all that, when do you slowly start realizing that there's something wrong with planet Earth?
Actually, I mean, I do think that honestly in childhood was the first time that it sparked some concern for me, because my grandmother lived in Miami, and the canal behind her house, I remember hearing that it was becoming polluted, and I felt so connected to all the animals, and it just was such a beautiful place. So that was the first time that I remember having some cognizance of it. But I learned about the climate crisis when I was doing a play down in the Keys. I was playing Betty in Betty's Summer Vacation. And there was this guy who took us out scuba diving. My friend Tawny and I went scuba diving, and it was so beautiful. I mean, being underwater like that, being able to swim around one of the largest barrier reefs there's no words to describe what a beautiful experience that is. And when we came above water, that's when our guide told us that the reefs were essentially dying because the oceans were warming.
Yes.
And it left such a mark. And there was a part of me that wanted to do absolutely anything I could to help raise awareness and to do something about it. But I was already in my acting career and getting ready to go to New York City and dive into television and film and theater in New York. And so I'm a creative. I didn't feel like that was something I could do and still be fulfilled at the time.
Right.
So it's been a pathway of, I went up to New York City and had my daughter. I moved up right before September 11th. So that was a very impactful, challenging time to be there, for sure.
Absolutely.
And became pregnant with my daughter, Phoenix. And that definitely was a turning point for me in terms of the sense of responsibility that I feel like we all should have, but especially as a parent, that I felt like I had to do something. I had to find a way to merge my passion for the natural world and how beautiful it is, and trying to maintain that and preserve it, and to find a way to merge my creativity with all of that. So it's been an evolving process.
So you started slowly, like with the Sierra Club, working with them and starting to because it's a thing of being educated, because there's so much you don't know and it shocks you. That's the thing when you find out. Just now in Florida, over 1,100 manatees have starved to death because the grass they feed, all the thing developers are putting in the water are not allowing that grass, and 1,100 and starve to death. Not hit by, just starve to death. And that's when you start, you feel that funny sensation in the butterflies in your stomach, that something's terribly wrong, and you either do something about it or you don't.
And manatees, to me, are, you know, I remember one specific interaction I had with a manatee, and it's like you look into the eyes of these beings, and they just feel like these big, beautiful, gentle giants. The whole sea cow thing, like they wouldn't harm a fly.
Right,
they're just
right.
these beautiful,
Right.
graceful creatures, even though they're big and blubbery. So it's really devastating, and I feel like that's something that a lot of Floridians have in common.
Right.
Is that
Well, the
you know,
love for the state and what's here, you know,
Yeah.
it's special.
Yeah, exactly. So our ecosystems are collapsing at such a rate that it's quite terrifying, honestly, when you
Right.
really soak it in.
Right, right. And sometimes you can't watch no more.
Yeah.
You know? You just have to stop. Like negative news, it's not good for you, for your mental health
Right.
at some point.
Yeah.
So now you've been in so many organizations. I remember we were talking with them, this and I did this and I did this, but now you're with this. It's called the Global Cooling Project.
So what I'm doing is I have been working with and for so many organizations for so long. I've learned a whole lot in the process. I've worked with scientists around the world. I've worked with experts. I got trained by Al Gore with the Climate Reality Project, Citizens Climate Lobby, lobbying with them, with the American Sustainable Business Council in DC and in Florida, as well as various outreach, American Renewable Energy Day in Colorado for 3 years in a row, where major environmental experts around the world show up there. Tom Steyer was there, Jimmy Carter's been there, just a lot of really big names doing really wonderful work. And now I'm finally putting all of the pieces together with all the knowledge that I've collected over these years and kind of distilling it down to create some media and working on my own project.
Okay.
So Global Cooling Productions is basically the umbrella that I'm using to create various media projects that I hope will inspire and empower people to make the kind of changes that we absolutely need to make. If we're going to have hope of turning this whole thing around,
Right.
we're going to have to start becoming the change that we want to see in the world.
Right.
And I think that we're all works in progress.
Okay.
None of us is perfect. We've
Right.
all got our strengths. We've all got our challenges.
Right.
And so I feel like it's important that we come from that place as well in terms of trying to discover what is it that I can do. Sometimes it can be a gradual change. Sometimes things have to happen overnight.
Right.
But we have to know about what the solutions are that are out there, what the policies are that can be made.
Yeah, and
to turn this
educating
around.
people. Because I grew up where you had a car made out of metal. There were no seat belts in the cars when I grew up. You throw the kids in the back seat, you roll up the windows, and you light up a Lucky Strike on this side, and the Kent was lit up on that side. If you did that today, oh my God, you would be arrested, putting in harm that, And we were educated where now smoking is not the thing anymore like it was. Everyone smoked around me. My mom, everybody smoked, and everybody drank, and they didn't eat very well. People are more into nutrition. People are into vitamins. People are into, people are into more exercising, Tai Chi, yoga. It's amazing. It's all education. And that's the beginning where you start media projects out there that you can watch and say, I get it.
That's such a wonderful point that you're bringing up, because we have made massive changes in other areas.
We recycle.
And we can be appalled at certain things, whereas we are, I hate to sound extreme here, but we're killing ourselves, is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And we have become dependent, all of us are doing it. It's not one person.
Right.
But, you know, so you have to make the changes where you can, but you also need to elect the politicians that are going to be able to have more power
Right.
and support the companies that are making the changes
Right,
that we need to make.
And I feel more and more companies are moving into that whole thing.
Yeah.
Where, you know, I remember when you used to get your burgers in styrofoam. Remember? Styrofoam boxes? Now they're little cardboard boxes. I mean, change the people. Also this thing with the straws now. They're not made out of plastic. They're straws made out of something that's biodegradable. It's not hard. It's that people are lazy. And sometimes the greed. They don't want to lose that little percent on what they're making.
And we
too.
have these culture wars.
Yeah,
right
also.
now,
Yeah.
too.
That
So
doesn't help.
people, you know,
Yeah.
attach their identity to certain things,
right.
whereas that's not really your identity.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we're about so much more than, you know, this is the gas guzzler that I drive, or, you know.
Well, Adam Morley, who's ran for office, not successfully many times, but he's a strong environmentalist. I remember going with him on the glitter thing. It's something that collects garbage along our
yes.
intercoastal, this pontoon kind of boat. And the things they pull out are unbelievable. So I went with my son and early in the morning. And I remember after we left, and we had collected all this garbage, and you could have been there for, you know, but I remember he went to part of the river where it was just open there, the intracoastal. Yeah. And I remember, I said, how bad is the plastic thing getting? And he stuck his hand in the water, and he scooped some water, and in the water you could see these tiny little pellets of plastic. And he says, and the fish you eat are eating that now. So it's yeah, we ran out of time, sadly.
Oh, no,
but
I
your
can't believe it.
website is what?
globalcoolingproductions.com. And also I'm putting together a Buy Me a Coffee page where I'm going to be posting my videos for Becoming the Change. And I also have some previous videos that I've either produced or hosted. I recently had an interview with Ken Russell discussing rights of nature and some water issues. He's going to challenge Marco Rubio,
okay.
hopefully, if he can,
We'll
if
see
he
what
can
happens.
qualify.
Yeah.
So, so that is buymeacoffee.com/Aria Mckenna.
Okay.
So you can also go there.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. We need people like you to keep us aware, keep us on our toes, and keep them making those little changes. My next car will be electric. I know that, and hopefully I'll charge it with the sun. But thank you so much.
Yep,
And
thank you.
we'll be back in a minute with Mariachi Primera Costa, and then we have our, some other people that are interesting. And my last guest is like dessert. You'll love him. So we'll see you in a little bit after these messages.
To the chat and I'd rather get to the action. In the world that we live in and get a reaction. I gotta listen so I never missing the chances. Sometimes I don't hear when I talk. Keep that mouth closed. Never need that feedback out shows. Cause we all like gossip, I know. Keep it all on the low. Not been a prophet to show. Long as it's calling, I'm stocking my pockets alone. While all of them calling get dropped at the tone. Cause I know they won't understand. Coping through motions, you won't even offer a hand. So part of the you was just part of the plan. And I keep the truth when it's not in the man.
Keep it on the low, secrets I let go. Ain't nobody gotta know. Keep it on the low, this ain't no TV show. Ain't nobody gotta know. That's just how it goes.
These gentlemen are great. And I leave you once again with Mariachi Primera Costa.
Ahí va para mis padres. llorar, quisiera morir de sentimiento. Oh, tierra del sol, suspiro por verte. Ahora que lejos yo vivo sin luz, sin amor. Al verme tan solo y triste, cual hoja al viento, quisiera llorar, quisiera morir de sentimiento. Oh, tierra del sol, suspiro por verte. Ahora que lejos yo vivo sin luz, sin amor. Al verme tan solo y triste, cual hoja al viento, quisiera llorar, quisiera morir de sentimiento.
Testing, testing. Yes, don't go away. Don't go away, gentlemen. So, gentlemen, where can we see you play?
Well, we play a lot of private parties. Sometimes we play in public, but we mostly do private parties, and you can see us in St. Augustine from time to time at near the gazebo.
Wow. Could you imagine bringing, if you like a girl, you bring these guys to her window? She'll either say yes or call the cops that you're stalking her. So, do you guys have a website?
We do. It's mariachijacks.com. I think it's Mariachi Jacks, right? And mariachijacks.com, and yes, we do serenades.
All right. They will be playing at the end, one more song, so we'll get ready for our next guest. Thank you. Yoo-hoo! We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with what I call sliders, and a slider is someone who comes up here and briefly talks of something that's going on related to something they do or an event that's going to happen, like we had the film festival in the first show. So I have Jule Meyer and I have Shannon Hart. So let's start you, Jule. You do you have something called Jules Art Tours. And tell us a little bit about that art tour. What does it do?
These are new, fairly new, about a year, personalized tours around St. Augustine. And I have aspirations to go all the way north to Jacksonville. Because for a couple of years I've been a docent at the Art Museum in Jacksonville and our beautiful art museum here in St. Augustine. So capitalizing on my experience as a docent and my lifelong passion for art. I'm taking people on personalized museum visits and gallery visits and now art studios. So going inside where artists are actually working.
Okay, all right. So when someone signs up for your art tour, what kind of happens? How long is it?
3 hours. It's might be a group of 2 or 10, so it ranges in size. I recently had a group of 7, and they were 3 generations. So I really prepare. I call up galleries and say, will you be open? And studios, would you mind having a group come to visit you? They're especially interested in pottery or...
We lost you there. We lost me. That's the receiver. It just Dye. Try that. See if that works.
Hi.
Yeah, get it very close.
Greetings.
Yes.
So it's a personalized tour that includes shopping. So if people are interested in purchasing art, buying.
That's what I thought too.
What?
Wine
Oh,
and
yes,
art.
yes. Which is why in the Uptown tour, I'll be doing an Uptown tour next week for a couple of folks who actually live in town. There will be champagne at Lisa Lambka's boutique. She doesn't know we're coming yet, but I'm very excited because she has a full service that has gold trim. And as you said, the place is a salon. You didn't use those words, Jorge, but wow. You walk in and you are transported not to an Egyptian vault. Is that what you said? Mm-hmm. It's really more of a salon with a lot of Victorian furniture and red, and then this fabulous jewelry that she custom designs. So she's on my art tour. She's a pretty inspiring person, as we just learned. And I'm sure you want to get over to the other guest here, but
Yes. I want to
Jule.
stop you 1 second because we have sound problems. Lenny, what you do is the receiver. Yes, go. You're gonna have to. It's off, right? It kicked out. It's dead. Yeah. So change the batteries on that.
Oy.
Yeah, it'll turn on, but it'll kick off. Yeah, just put new batteries in it. And we'll continue with this microphone over here. Okay, just put it a little closer.
So,
So we were at the part. It's a salon.
right, you go into the salon, you're served champagne, and then you have this very attentive owner, and in many cases it's a gallery owner. Many times it's an artist who's working at the Co-op Gallery. You know, we have 4 Co-op galleries here in St. Augustine. Well, most people that I talk to, both visitors and people who work here, who live here, haven't really found our special, our less commercial galleries. And I'm not saying we won't go to a commercial gallery. This is customized as to what people like. So,
All right. Now,
lots
do
of
you have
fun.
a website?
Jules Art Tours. Little different.
Check it out. Check out a lot of people live here and are not. I know my microphone is kind of, might come back on. Testing.
There you go.
I'm back.
Oh, you're back.
Give that back. So
In force.
yeah, it's hard when I know what's, and I see her, but I know, and yes, but it's live television. I love it. Won't trade it for anything. Yes. So, all right, Jules Tour. Yeah, check out. There's a lot of things you don't know about this town. These galleries keep changing. The artists, what's going on. It's not the same gallery you went 5. And even when you go to Art Walk, you're not really spending the time. There's so many. So something like this makes sense. Let's give her a hand. The other person we have here is a good friend, Shannon Hart. And the mariachis are our friends. We know them. They played for us at the Halloween thing we had weekend, which was wonderful.
Our city serenade.
Yes,
Our
yes.
first city serenade.
And for a long
They were
time,
wonderful.
Shannon has been talking of something called Vecto Vision. And now she's here to tell us what it is. Now, the website is artandlifein3d.com.
Yes.
Well, tell us something about this Vecto Vision.
Well, Vecto Vision is the Facebook metaverse a year and a half ahead of Facebook. We are an organization, actually we're a nonprofit organization. We're creating interactive experiences that are mixed reality, augmented reality. We're working on something really cool now where you'll be able to walk around town and hold your phone up to one of the public sculptures and it will come to life and walk down off the pedestal and walk in front of you. The lions will jump down and walk in front of you. So it's a new way to look at St. Augustine. We're bringing St. Augustine into the metaverse, and we are excited to have people see the invisible and expect the unexpected. And the great thing about it is it's not at all invasive to our community. You download the free app. Depending on what the exhibit is, we're working on something called Artists, Activists, and Poets. This one is a Frida Kahlo exhibit, which is general interest. And that is, we're hoping to work with Jule actually to go to different galleries, and there would be an interactive Frida Kahlo painting in each gallery and some information. It's actually really cool. And we just finished this to showcase our technology. It's called St. Augustine Kids. And it's an interactive guide for kids. There's not a lot in town where they scan images and they come to life right in front of them and talk about what's going on in the city, whether it be the Bridge of Lions, the Lighthouse, the Civil Rights era in 1964.
Now, in something
Museum.
like that, like the civil rights thing, would you be able to look down a street and see something happen?
Yes, exactly. So we're working on something where you could look down Martin Luther King Street and you could see life-size, in real world is what it's called, a protest that actually happened in the 1960s.
Could you imagine?
So it's very cool. It's very unsettling a little bit because it takes a while because it feels really real. And unless you have someone sitting next to you, Jule, you've seen my stuff.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about how in my tours, I have a family tour, and recently a mom said, would you put in a running break? So this is where we need your,
Right.
you know, basically you take your phone, you go to a symbol, boom, you get a lot richer
Exactly.
experience.
Yeah. Well, we're not QR codes. We're actually real world based. So you can scan your phone at the Leitner Museum and see Henry Flagler standing there talking to you about what he's doing, or a life-size Henry Flagler train standing there, or it's just super cool. And we're really excited, and what I'm excited about this, Kids Magazine, which is going to be available hopefully at local shops, and it's available on Amazon now, is that it features Mariachi Primera Costa. They're actually in this, so I'm excited that they're here. They have a big picture in here. And also, if you don't mind if I keep going.
Oh, keep going.
I'm really excited. Yvette's here. We're getting ready to do a really cool special issue, interactive issue, where your scanned pages and stuff will pop up life-size, or it's super cool. So we're really excited about that. Yeah. So, and then we're doing something cool for Halloween, you and I, Jorge.
Yes, we're planning something bigger, better, and meaner.
Yeah.
For, and scarier for Halloween.
And so we're a nonprofit, but we also do promotional things for for-profit organizations. And I want to say one more thing. Jule and I have known each other professionally since 2010. So it's kind of a coincidence that we've been up here. We work together at a global nonprofit in Boston. So I have to say, try Jules Tours. They're amazing.
All right.
She's one of the reasons I came here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. So check out artandlifein3d.com. And great things are coming. Great things are coming. All right. We'll come back with our next guest after these messages.
Ain't no TV show. Ain't nobody gotta know.
It's just how it goes now. Loner on this road down. Sorrow with no hope found. Hard to let you know now. Harder just to show how days go by with no count. Don't get too close now. I'm alone now. Still be getting along, feeling it strong, keeping it going. Nothing that you could resolve, skipping your calls, making the calls. Still be getting along, feeling it strong, keeping it going. Nothing that you could resolve, skipping your calls.
Because this life before was no fun. I appreciate the lesson, made me strong. I just go in my...
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm with one of my favorite people. I've known him for a while, Moliere Dimanche. I always kid with him. Moliere was a playwright, French playwright, as you know, and Dimanche is Sunday. And I said if he ever becomes a rapper, he should call himself French Playwright on a Sunday. It should be his name. I love the name. It's a beautiful name. And he was in my first show, 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago. And at that time, when I met Moliere, Moliere had just come out of prison, 8.5 years, 3 years in confinement. And when I met him 3 years after coming out of that experience, he was already having art exhibits. He already had a clothing line. He was on every magazine around this area and in Orlando. And he was a megastar. And I wanted to know what was it? What's going on with this guy, you know? And so he's also an author, he's a producer, he's a director, he's an artist, and many other things. Now he's learning code, so he doesn't stop. And so after all these years, I know life has changed. He has 2 babies now, twins, yes?
Twins.
Yes, the way he says it, twins. You know, they're 2 years old. What, terrible 2s by 2 is 14 or something like that? I don't know. So here you are. Let's go back a little bit. You were born where?
I was born in Bartow, Florida.
Bartow, Florida.
Bartow.
So you're Floridian. Now, your heritage is Haitian.
Yes.
Mother and father.
Mother and father.
All right. And so now you are, the last thing you sent me was a film. It's an animation. It's a surreal animation because there are parts of it where you see people like him, and it's his story about prison, the cruelty, the torture that goes on, et cetera, et cetera. And I tell you, it was an hour and a half, and I was sitting on the edge of my seat, sometimes holding my breath, and then sometimes you slow it down where the inmates were sending like sign language. You would see the W, the H, and you're like, hurry up, man, tell me what's going on. And and some, you'd hear at the end and find out that the guards have shut the exhaust system and they're going to gas one of the prisoners, who eventually is going to choke to death. But it's incredible. It's called American Convict, and it's is it Moliere, Dimanche, or Dimanche Productions?
It's actually called GIPECA.
GIPECA is a production company. Yes.
Yes, now it is. Yes.
Yeah, now it is.
I just took all of the names of all of my sons and just smashed them into one, and came out pretty cool.
Now your art is beautiful. I mean, it's changed, but at the beginning it was like Chinese ink, a lot of it. You perfected that in prison.
Right.
And how do you do that in prison?
The only way to have anything to, do art with was to get somebody to smuggle me in a broken piece of a pencil, like in my mashed potatoes or something, and give them a couple of stamps and draw on whatever I can get my hands on. Request forms, old letters, legal mail, anything.
It's incredible how you guys do the contraband. In the film, you guys had like these strings running across the floor or something?
The fishing lines, yes.
Fishing lines from cell to cell.
It's innovation at its finest. When you're in prison, you're gonna figure out a way to do anything. Bake cakes and make bacon. But what the inmates were doing, they take the thread out of the clothing, out of the seams of the clothing, and pull it out until it's 10, 20 feet, tie soap-head to the end, and use it as a vehicle to send messages or pull books.
Wow. Yeah, I found that, it's a whole world. I think of people in concentration camps, people in North Korea, and I wonder how and watching your film, I say, okay, now I see how they do it, because they must use even maybe something more amazing. Human spirit is so big. Now, this film, the reason for this film was what, basically?
The reason for the film was pretty much the reception to my art and the book. And I just felt like,
the title of the book is?
It Takes a Criminal to Know One.
It's on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon.
Yes.
You can get paperback, hardcover, audio. Audio is free.
Audio is free. If you have Audible, the audiobook is free. I performed the audiobook. You get to listen to it for free if you have an Audible account.
What amazes me of the film, before you go in there, is you're using an iPhone and a green screen.
Yes. And, I got some practice, doing, the YouTube stuff and the stuff for social media.
Right.
And it worked for that, and it worked for the film. And the film was primarily CGI anyway. So it was easy to just, I didn't have to go to an abandoned prison and try to film a scene. I just taught myself how to use the 3D software, built the prison exactly as I remembered it. Just keep myself.
Yeah, it's an amazing piece of animation. And everything is Moliere Dimanche, director, Moliere Dimanche, animation, Moliere Dimanche, actor, Moliere Dimanche. It's one of those.
I would have loved some help, but unfortunately, that's just what it was.
Right. And you had those 2-year-olds who were...
You can actually hear the oldest twin in some of the scenes.
And you think they're killing someone in another
yeah, or they're changing the diaper down the hall.
Oh my Lord. So the film was basically what's the statement you're trying to make with the film?
Well, the statement I'm trying to make with the film is it's beyond what the storyline consists of. I did this to prove or to set a standard for people that you don't need Hollywood to make a film. You don't need these big outlets to get your film out. And, you know, I was an Amazon partner. And as soon as I wrapped this film up, my dream was to just see my film on Amazon Prime Video. And as soon as I finished, it was perfect timing to where Amazon just stopped accepting independent films because of the quality that was coming from so many independent filmmakers.
Right.
And I'm like, man, I know I did not just do this entire film
For nothing. Right.
So I said, okay, I've already proved you can make a film by yourself.
Right.
Now I'm gonna teach myself how to code, and you're gonna be able to have your own streaming platform by yourself. Nobody's gonna just, you know, close the door as soon as I've done all of this work. It's just not gonna happen.
Well, this is what I found interesting. This is my opinion about code. In the old world, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, the people who controlled the world at the time were the people who could read and write. Now the people who control the world do code, which means we're the peasants. We're the peasants. We're the ones who don't understand. We're the ones who say, hey, could you look, I was today, could you get this on Facebook? Could you get this on Facebook for me? So the world we're in now, code is a new form of reading and writing. And it's sad that we don't. And those who do are making billions and having more power and more control over our lives. So keep that thought in your mind. Because that amazing, when you said code, the first thing came to my mind is the man is learning how to read and write in the 21st century.
Right, and that's the best analogy that could apply to this. Because, you know, once I started learning coding, like before, you know, if I ever needed to learn something, I just go to YouTube.
Right.
And I'm like, well, you know, coding looks really complex, you know, all of these different symbols and all of these different equations and everything. How am I gonna wrap my head around this? And I just watched the first, it was in Hindi, but you know, you watch it a few times, you start to understand it. You just copy what they do, and then it just, later on, you're gonna feel like you understand the language. It's like, okay, this is an object, this is an array. And it's really not that hard. But once you see the results of what you can do with coding, you'll be you'll use apps differently. Like every time you open Facebook, it's like, I could have added this feature that would have made it cooler.
Right, back to my analogy. Imagine you suddenly learn how to read and write, and they give you the Bible in the 13th century, and you actually for the first time can read the Bible.
Right.
It must be an incredible feeling of power that you can actually, all those symbols, now you understand. And sadly, we're in a part where you're starting to understand, and I'm still out in the fields collecting potatoes.
It is, it's an incredible analogy, but the thing about it is, there may be one element that might be absent from the analogy that you're using, is that back then, you know, sometimes it was illegal to get, for certain people, to read and write.
Yes, the church wanted power. Yes.
Today, the software that you use to build these apps and, you know, do all this stuff, it's free.
Free, yes.
You know, and it's like, well, you know, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? Everything's free.
Someone on YouTube will actually explain to you how to.
They're going to explain it in Hindi, but they're going to explain it. You just got to read between the lines a little bit.
With a real thick Indian.
Yeah,
I want to help you now with this.
That's exactly,
You need two numbers now.
That's exactly what it sounds like. That's how I learned it, you know.
Right.
And, you know, the accents are heavy, but there are American coders. There are coders of every ethnicity. But what I found is just the Hindi coders, they'll give you all of the information. Right. You just have to tune your ears a little bit.
You also said to me that once you start with a coder, stay with that coder. Don't change.
Yes, because
stay with them to the end of that lesson or whatever.
Yes, because with coding, there's so many different ways to do one thing. Right. And if one tutorial teaches you to code using this formula, and then you try to mix it with another one, you're going to get spaghetti code, and you're going to have to scrap your whole project, start over. If you can get the information from one source, keep going with that source.
Well, China 3 years ago started bringing in books for 6-year-olds to understand artificial intelligence.
I understand why.
And we still have our teachers working a second job at a dollar store to try to survive. So you know where it's all going. Right? You have to watch a boxing match to know what's going to happen. But what I love about your film, your narration was spectacular. That's what hooked me in. When you start narrating, that bus trip, that horrible bus trip. And you remind me of Morgan Freeman. You had this voice that was so deep, so wise, so philosophical, just explaining something so life-changing. Once you started talking, as soon as you started talking, you just drew me in. So I have to give you kudos for that. You really had this timing as you spoke that remind me of the Shanshak Redemption. It remind me of a lot of things that with the narrator suddenly brings you right in. So what's the future for Moliere Dimanche, the author, the producer, the director, the animator, the artist? What's going on, my brother?
The future is in sync with what your guest before me was doing, the metaverse. I thought that stuff looked silly when I seen people putting those big goggles on their heads, and until my son got one, and I tried it on myself. I believe it's the future. And what I want to do with the same streaming service, GIPECA, which is currently available only if you have an Android device. The iOS is coming next month in February. But as of right now, you can get it on the Google Play Store, and there's plenty of content there for you. And
let me stop you right there. You left with the audience these sort of brochures and 3D glasses.
Yes.
What are they going to do with that?
Oh,
we've run out of time.
With the 3D glasses, as you've read in the brochures, I'm reimagining ways to consume entertainment all the way around the board. And I think we need to bring 3D glasses back. You know, it's ancient technology at this point, but I think movies still look pretty cool in immersive 3D. So I'm setting a pretty high standard. I'm going to work with anybody who wants to stream on my platform. They're welcome to do it, but there's a next level standard. I want to have each movie, there's of course the regular version, I want a 3D compatible version, and I want a VR compatible version. I haven't seen any movies produced yet to where you're immersed with the Oculus in the 3D environment. I want to be the first person to do a full-length feature film that you're inside of the movie and you see everything from the perspective of the protagonist.
Oh, wow.
It's coming next month.
All right.
Well, it will be here.
We've run out of time. You always make me, I just feel so proud when I see you.
Before we go, one more thing. I hate to cut you off. Folks, if you're going to learn coding, I don't know what it is about Jorge Rivera. I think he knows magic. I almost called this thing quits. And I called Jorge, expressed my frustrations about it. And he said, keep going. I hung up the phone. I didn't even do anything. I didn't change a line of code. It worked. So learn Kotlin, learn Java, and give Jorge a call from time to time, and it'll work.
We'll go to Vegas together.
I got you.
Okay. And thank you. There's also, I want to give a shout out. There's a good friend of Moliere out there. Emmett Tatter is out there, who also has a book. Incredible young man doing great things with his life, also giving lectures and talking to people. He will be a guest sooner or later, but I want to mention him because he's also a very valuable member of this community, doing wonderful things too. And I thank you for having the time for me.
Absolutely.
And
thank you for having the time.
We'll come back after these messages one more time with Mariachi's Primera Costa.
Oh, yeah. Fun, I appreciate the lesson, made me strong. I just go with my tuition, never wrong. I just roll up, shut up, and let life be good. Keep it on the low, secrets I let go. Ain't nobody gotta know. Just keep it on the low, this ain't no TV show. Ain't nobody gotta know. This is how it goes now, on this road down, sorrow with no hope found. Hard to let you know now, harder just to show how days go by with no count. Don't get too close now, I'm alone now. Keep it on the low, secrets on.
All right. Well, once again, I leave you with this wonderful trio of mariachis, Mariachi's Primera Costa. Que viva México.
bandera camina en la vigina y la gente se pone a murmurar. Dicen que tiene una pena que la hace llorar. Bandera preciosa y orgullosa y no dejan que la quieran consolar. Dicen que alguien caminó y se fue, dicen que pasa la noche llorando por él. La vigina tiene pena y dolor. La vigina no conoce el amor. Bandera preciosa y orgullosa, no dejan que la quieran consolar. Pasan sonrientes su real majestad, pasan caminando, mira sin miedo jamás. Mariachi. La vigina tiene pena y dolor. La vigina no conoce el amor. Bandera preciosa y orgullosa y no dejan que la quieran consolar. Dicen que alguien caminó y se fue, dicen que pasan las noches llorando por él. Dicen que pasan las noches llorando por él. Dicen que pasan las noches llorando por él.
Thank you, Mariachis Primera Costa. Thank you for all you braving the weather coming out here. Thank you to all our guests, Lisa Lambka, Aria Mckenna, Moliere Dimanche, Jule Meyer, Shannon Hart, Mariachis Primera Costa. Did I mention Moliere? Yes. And thank you. I mean, you make this show. Without you, I'd be home playing, watching television. All right. See you next week with some bunch of new people.
Go by with no count. Don't get too close now. I'm alone now. Keep it on the low. Secrets only gold. Ain't nobody gotta know. Keep it on the low. This ain't no TV show. Ain't nobody gotta know.